We talk a lot about setting boundaries, right? Boundaries with work, with family, even with our phones. But what if the most important boundary, the one that could change everything, is one you've never even thought about setting? Today, we're going to talk about the line you need to draw with your own mind.
Oof, does that hit it a little too close to home? You know that feeling, right? Being stuck on this treadmill of overcommitment, saying yes to absolutely everything and everyone, even when you are just running on fumes? Well, if that's you, you are definitely in the right place.
It's a feeling so many of us know well. But let's get into it. Why do we get trapped in this cycle? Why is it so unbelievably hard to just say no?
Well, behavioral science professor Dr. Kristen Lee points to a few usual suspects. First, there's that big one, FOMO, the fear of missing out. Every no feels like you're slamming the door on a potential opportunity. Then you've got perfectionism, that little voice in your head that whispers, saying no is for quitters. You have to do it all and do it perfectly. And maybe the deepest reason of all, social conditioning. A lot of us, and especially women, are brought up to believe our value comes from doing things for other people, from performing that endless emotional labor that keeps everything and everyone else running smoothly.
Okay, so we get the external pressures. But what if the biggest battle isn't actually with your calendar or your boss? What if it's with your own brain? This brings us to a totally different kind of boundary, the one you set with yourself. Cognitive behavioral therapist Joanna Hardis asks this really powerful question. Think about it. We pour so much energy into managing all the demands from the outside world. But what about the constant demands coming from inside our own heads? The nonstop worrying, the self-criticism, the overthinking, it's exhausting. And that's exactly what we mean by an internal boundary. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about learning to manage your own internal world. It's about making a conscious decision to not let your thoughts, feelings, and memories just run the show 24/7. So let's make this super clear. External boundaries, that's the wall you build between yourself and things out there. Your boss's emails at 10 p.m., your family's constant requests, your smartphone begging for attention. But internal boundaries, that's about managing what's happening in here. That thought about a mistake you made that just plays on a loop, that inner critic telling you you're not good enough, that's the stuff we're talking about.
So, how do you know if you need to work on this? Well, see if any of this sounds familiar. Do you get trapped in your head a lot? Feel like your thoughts and feelings are totally in the driver's seat? Do you have those endless internal debates, that constant yes, but, going back and forth? And maybe the biggest tell of all, you talk to yourself in a way you would never, ever talk to someone you care about.
So if these patterns are so common, why are they so incredibly hard to break? Well, the answer often comes down to this really deep, hidden pressure to please everyone else, a habit that can lead us to totally silence our own needs.
There's actually a term for this in academic research. It's called the silencing the self theory. It's basically a strategy we learn from our family, from our culture, to just keep the peace. We push our own thoughts and feelings down to avoid a fight, to keep our relationships from getting rocky. We literally swallow our own needs just to feel connected to others.
And this whole pattern usually unfolds in 4 stages. It starts with judging yourself based on what you think other people think of you. That then leads to this idea that caring for others means sacrificing yourself, always putting their needs first. From there, it's a really small step to actively silencing what you feel to avoid any conflict. And the end result? This painful feeling of being a divided self, where there's a huge gap between who you really are on the inside and the person you show to the world.
Now, this pattern of self-silencing, it's not harmless. Not at all. Over time, it comes with a really, really high price tag for our mental and emotional health.
When you are constantly ignoring that inner voice, you risk something much bigger than just being unhappy for a day. Research shows it can actually lead to a profound loss of self, that terrifying feeling of being completely disconnected from who you are, what you want, and what you believe in.
And look, the stakes are incredibly high. Study after study has shown a strong link between this pattern of self-silencing and a much greater risk for serious mental health issues like depression, eating disorders, and even premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Pleasing everyone else at your own expense has real, measurable, and dangerous consequences.
Okay, so understanding the problem is the crucial first step. But now, let's pivot to the solution. How do we actually start building these internal boundaries and taking our lives back? It's time to open up the practical toolkit.
Joanna Hardis gives us this fantastic 5-step toolkit. It all begins with just noticing, just walking your thoughts float by without judging them. A great way to build this skill is step 2. Literally set a reminder on your phone to just check in and ask, hey, how am I feeling right now? Step 3 is to recognize that exact moment when you get hooked on a thought. And once you see it, step 4 is to consciously stop and redirect your focus. Look out the window, listen to the sounds in the room, anything to get out of your head. And finally, the most powerful step of all, do what matters. Stop wasting energy fighting your thoughts and instead put that energy into something that actually aligns with your values.
Of course, building those internal boundaries is a whole lot easier when you can protect your external space too. So to help you out, here are a few simple, practical scripts for saying no without feeling like a jerk. You can buy yourself some time. Can I give it some time to think about? You can be honest about where you're at. I'm just too overcommitted to give this the attention it deserves. You could even be a little vulnerable. You know, it's really hard for me to say no, but I have to this time. The trick is to practice them, so they just roll off the tongue when you need them most.
Look, the goal here is not to completely silence your thoughts. That's impossible. The real power is in choosing which thoughts you're going to engage with. It's like the difference between just noticing a cloud passing in the sky and deciding to chase after it. So I'll leave you with this question. What is one worry, one self-criticism, one single thought that you will choose not to get stuck on today? Because that one small choice, that's where everything starts.